What do we need to be happy? We talk all the time about this so-called happiness. We constantly follow people in their attempts to be happy. Our social networks, right? So many people posting what makes them happy and even lying about what makes us happy. What makes us happy? What makes us fulfilled? And from these questions, we begin to debunk because we lie to ourselves. How many times do I meet people and recognize this in myself? A deceitful structure around fulfillment. We pretend to be fulfilled. We pretend to know what should be done. Often we stay on the surface of things, of situations, and don't even have the courage to touch what really needs to be touched to make our lives better. We have so many pursuits. Sometimes you try to be happy through your work. You work hard because you want to achieve something that makes you happy. You date. You try to be happy through this relationship, or you're already married. You try to be happy in this marriage. This life is so short, isn't it? So that we waste the opportunity to be fulfilled, happy men and women. Because that is God's desire for us. Conversion is this. It is to identify if in the structure of your life today, there is something that is an obstacle to your human fulfillment. So when I look at the structure of my life, at what today I need to renounce, I am seeing a reality that is favorable to my growth. I need to identify what today in the structure of my life is representing an obstacle to my fulfillment. It might be that you identify a friendship, for example, a pseudo-friendship, a false friendship, a camaraderie that has been an obstacle to your spiritual, emotional growth. So we need to constantly articulate the reality that surrounds us. I like to call this our environments. And from these environments, we seek, honestly, to be in the place we should really be. I think every human being, even if not very conscious of this, is always trying to be happy, even when they make mistakes. Even when we make mistakes, we are somehow trying to be happy. You might be under the influence of someone who does not wish you well, who is addicting you to something that destroys you, or who is taking you out of a context of fidelity to yourself. Yes, we can often become addicted to people who do us harm. And suddenly, the enemy starts undermining our courage, our willingness, and we stray from the path that God wants for us. I repeat that it is a path of fulfillment, a path of happiness. God does not want our suffering. We suffer because we are human. It is part of our condition, but it is very petty to think that God is sending those sufferings to us. No, He doesn't need to send them. Sufferings are there in the path of everyone who wants to live well. Just as He also cannot rid us of these sufferings, because they are part of life. It is part of life to suffer. What He assures us is His presence. So, it requires a lot of intellectual honesty. We are talking here about putting intelligence to work. What today, in the structure of my life, is an obstacle to my human fulfillment. You've heard me talk here about human fulfillment, which is precisely this adaptation that we make of everything we can and cannot do. Yes, because a fulfilled human being is one who has already acknowledged everything they can and cannot do. And from this can and cannot, a space of satisfaction is created. It is the satisfaction of being who you are, of doing what you do, of working at what you work, of studying what you study, of living with whom you live. And we cannot always, within this fulfillment, do only what pleases us. Personally, I like to think that God is always favorable, that my experience with the Lord is always favorable to me. Never, never, never could I understand that my experience with God could be an obstacle to my human fulfillment. God wants my best. And a long time ago, I started removing from myself, some misguided understandings that God wanted my suffering, for example. God has no interest in making you an unhappy person. Unhappiness is not a project of God for our lives. That's why in the project He has for each of us, He never removes the obstacles, because in the obstacles, we find the strength to achieve what we so desire. Yes, we need to overcome daily the obstacles that prevent us from living this happiness, this human fulfillment. But the problem is when we do not know, when we do not have clarity about what really makes us happy. I like to understand happiness with a bit more depth. It might be that the word happiness is very empty of meanings. It might be that it has become very empty in our days. We grow a lot when we are challenged. We continue tomorrow in the next video. Complete conference links in the description.